Hey guys, it's Jared and Mike, a noob and a ninja. We're back, a CPI trading day. I know Mike's had a good day, so I'll let him recap that and maybe he can touch on his strategy again with having a couple different accounts and what he does with them.
Yeah. Hey, what's up? Yeah, I watched the market from, I didn't watch the CPI because as a noob, it just moves way too quick for me and it can be choppy. Even on good news like today, you still can't predict it. So um, I watched the market from 6:30 a.m. Pacific time, which is market open, up until 7:30. And the first trade I took was at exactly 7:26, I believe, or
Okay.
7:20-ish, that range where we went down and retested bottoms in ES. It was at the same spot at 6:45 a.m., bounced up, and then came back in like a W pattern. And you can look at the wicks; they're like thin at the bottom, where every time it did try to come down, it just got bought right back up. And so I got long. The market moved up 40 points from that point. I only was able to grab 20 of it because I'm a noob and I figured it would just consolidate at the top of the W again. But I'm happy 700 and roughly a 750 point move with one mini, and I'm just sitting and
Nice.
watching it now consolidate. I might not make another trade today, so it's I missed out on a little bit of that tail at the end, but I'm still happy where I'm at.
Absolutely. I think, as traders starting out, the opportunity is generally 6.5 hours a day, but realistically, you want to try to get in and get out and be up and be done early. It gives you so much more of your day back to do other stuff and not think about the opportunity loss. Think about it as, you had a great day, and one of the factors being you made a few good trades early and you're able to kind of walk away quickly.
Yeah, so I have a job and I'm a stay-at-home dad, and I know you're a busy guy too, and uh, so yeah, if there's always the chance you can lose money too as a trader. But just
Yeah.
to ask you a question, if you could sit in the chair for another 4 hours and make $500, or you could go skiing on the day, like what would you choose? I mean, obviously
Yeah.
some days are you'd choose one or the other, but what do you
hmm
think?
Yeah, absolutely. I prefer, I trade Nasdaq, so I like things as quick as possible. So uh, for me, I love trading the CPI print. I generally form a bias and I go with it. I think I was in a text feed with you and I mentioned I'm bullish and I reiterated that before the print and it did exactly that. I was kind of hoping for a bigger move, but I have no problem locking myself out of prop firm accounts before the market even opens, before I normally am trading. I've got no problem looking at it like, hey, I'm already done for the day. Even if I sit for another 1 or 2 hours and make $500, it's like there's several things that we don't take into account, like just your ability to execute and be sharp with your decision making. That is strained the longer you're staring at computer screens. So to come in,
Hmm.
make serious money and get out and walk away, go skiing, do something else allows your brain to kind of relax and not be at that high level of stress, which I think you'll have fatigue on that as time goes on. So yeah, I'm with you there.
Yeah, and so are you surprised the market's not going higher? I know you trade Nasdaq, and
Yeah.
it seems just yesterday, on the 17th, it was at that 25.5 level,
Yeah.
and we're not even there yet. Do you think we at least hit that today at some point?
Yeah, I mean, just the way we've responded to the liquidation break yesterday. And, I always like to say, like, one of the things that gives me insight into potential print is like the market can't just go all the way up in one direction. That wouldn't be good for market makers. It wouldn't be advantageous because it'd be like everyone would just be piling in as much cash as they could. You have to have ups and downs. And so when I see kind of that selling a day before a CPI print, my gut initially says, well, this is a good chance that, it's going to be a bullish print. And in the way that we've climbed here the fact that we had not a full sell off, we have not been back to the level of where we were for the print, tells me right now we're just consolidating. The people that bought are sitting good, and there's really still no selling going on. So, yeah, I think a target for me is 25.5 to 25.550 in NQ. Today is a Friday, or it's a Thursday, so there is still the whole day of Friday where we could, take to get back up there. But right now, if I look at some things that maybe the average trader isn't necessarily considering, I look at the 11 sectors from the open, and only energy and real estate are down. Everything else is up pretty significantly, and so I'll watch that and see if there's more. Is it rotation going on, or is it new money buying? And right now, I don't think there's any sign of sellers coming into this market. That'll for me be back down to the levels of where the CPI print was. If we get back down there, I think I flip my bias, and I probably say we're selling off this pop, and we're going to probably continue lower. But the way we made our all-times high this year, the statistics would tell you that it should be taken out sooner than later, because the highs were made in overnight sessions, and those are generally considered weak highs, or kind of during the regular trading hours in New York is really when you should be setting highs and lows, and those are more likely to hold. So yeah, to me this is just easy consolidation. For me, one thing I do is, if I am going to be here with you guys or something and I'm already done trading, well, what's something I can do to kind of spin the wheels? I like to get in an eval and try bigger trades, right? Because we can always be a better trader. And so, for me, an eval like this one with Blue Knox is $15.75 right now. I kind of look at it like I book my profit and I'll take a 15, $20 out of it. And now I'm going for a trade to pass the account today. Why? Because I think we are headed higher, and the 25,500 level is a big move from where we are right now, almost 200 points lower. So why don't I just put on a small trade and see if what my thesis is for the day hits, and still not feel like I'm risking anything if I lose.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So are you in a trade right now?
I am long in this consolidation. I considered an ad, but I passed this account right now at 440. So about 40, 65 points from here. So I don't really need any more size, because I'm trying a new trading kind of thesis here, where again I'm just trading an eval, and one of my hunches is this selling and this pause here is very healthy for the market just to leg higher from here, and I've got some upside targets in that range. So yes, I am long. I am watching Amazon be an absolute beast today. I think it was a buy back in the low 220s. Again, guys, not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just giving you my positions. Um, but yesterday's sell-off was a lot of money just coming out of the chip stocks. And this morning I woke up, as I like to do, and trade a little small cap, fire off one or two shares just to click the mouse and get the kind of heart rate up and be in a trade. And it's just kind of get me going. And I saw Micron was being bought up, so that makes sense that a lot of the tech selling was in the chips, and now the buying's coming back in those areas as people potentially rotate, or just new money coming in after seeing a CPI print that was supposed to be 3.1%, and it came in at, as I saw it, as 2.7, which I expected because we had that gap, right, Mike? Like for the first time ever, we didn't have a CPI print last month, so it would make sense that would be an opportunity for us to be completely off on the print. And yeah, so forecast was 3.1, previous was 3.0, and we came in at 2.7. So yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, and it doesn't make sense too for large sell-offs right now either, because more money is kind of being distributed by the government. I don't know if you saw that
Oh yeah.
service members getting 1776 each.
Hmm.
God bless them.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's still talk of a tariff rebate for your average Joe, and apparently we're all getting bigger tax returns this spring. So lots more cash coming in. I would just imagine a lot of that gets invested.
Yeah, I mean, I did see that announcement. I believe he was also it was quite the press conference that was all clumped into. But yeah, I agree. God bless all our soldiers and military, and um, you know, that kind of definitely stimulates the economy. And right now, I don't see any reason why we can't stimulate this economy a little bit and try to keep us chugging the way we have. I mean, inflation down to 2.7, uh, interest rates we still have almost 400 basis points to maneuver. We are kind of starting to buy back treasuries with the Fed, so this is a bullish scenario for sure. And I see tech kind of being the fruitful winner of this. I continue to watch Amazon up to now 229 about, and it was in the 222s yesterday. Uh, but here we go in Nasdaq. I don't know. I'm looking at ES for us, and we're kind of back getting towards the high of the day. We'll pull this up. We don't need.
Yeah, ES seems to not be able to break through that 68.70 mark. If it does, I might take a long, but right now I'm just watching because we could get another uh, small sell off before it does go long again. But I tend to agree with you that it probably does go long again today.
Yeah, I'm actually gonna go just because it's an eval. Um, I see us potentially just kind of setting a new high and maybe not propelling through it. So I've upped my position now to two minis, going for
Wow.
yeah. Again, it's an eval, guys. For me, this is more of a video game and less about anything else. I just want to have kind of a bias, and I want to test my bias. And what I'm seeing in tech right now across the board is we're not doing anything but being bought up, and continues to look strong.
And that's a $15 eval with Bolinox or Blue Knox. I don't know how to pronounce it.
Yeah, I mean, your guess is as good as mine. I have yet to speak with anybody from the firm. Um, I've heard different pronunciations throughout YouTube videos. Bulenox. And what I can tell you about these guys and why I continue to give them my business is, sure, they have not the best payout window, and they have a buffer that you need to get above, but I've never been hassled for one trade or been paid anything but exactly when I was supposed to. And let's talk about funding ticks coming out to every customer, myself included, and they retroactively changed all the rules. And they're like, oh, we're going to need you to trade more. You can now trade for your trades will not be counted unless you hold them for a minute, which I think's ludicrous. To be completely frank, like uh, to think like, oh, I get in a trade and in 20 seconds, I'm already like way above where I wanted to be for taking profit, but I can't do it. That's bullshit. And that's like one of the trip ups, I think, that these prop firms, essentially what I believe is happening is these firms are like looking at their books and they're saying, what's the greatest amount of like take people are doing? And people are like trading NASDAQ for 10 to 30 seconds, and they're like, well, we need to eliminate all this profit because, quote, it's not realistic. But I am not a live trader with them, so I can say we are just hitting here new high in NASDAQ. Pretty close to my target. I'm going to move my stop. But getting to the point is like Blue and Knox never, I could have a 1 second trade. I could trade news. I could trade 20 seconds. Like they have never, ever done anything that indicated to me like, hey, Jared, we don't really like what you're doing over here. And so for me, uh, perfect. Pass the evaluation right there. So for me, like I'll continue to work with them. I can have 3 accounts and build up to 11. Um, I just got my third account now with them. Uh, I'm looking for firms that cut the fat of rules and let us trade. And if they don't like, the sim, then put us in a live account because realistically, that's the direction we need to be in anyways. Because we're all trying to do this to make serious money. So, funding ticks just to kind of put a bow on this, they came out retroactively. Now, if a firm says, hey, all our new accounts, we have new rules, I really, as a businessman, I totally get that. Like, then you're telling the customer, hey, like, you guys are grandfathered into this old account style. You can't buy any more of those. We have to change the rules for new accounts. That I have, holy shit. I don't know what just happened in gold. Um, Gold is absolutely flying right now, guys. I don't know if I've ever seen gold move like this. We've had
Wow.
5 minutes of almost 25. If you guys are seeing this, let's pull this up.
Should we
Um,
jump in?
I mean, honestly, like something's happening here. Uh, we're over 4,400. That's a
Oh
big
my
target for a
gosh.
lot of people. Each tenth of a point in gold is $10. So even on one contract, this is $2,000 move. So I don't know what's going on there. But as we talk about it, like, you know, I don't like that they went and said, "Oh no, not only are new accounts changing, everyone who's bought an account." To me, that is fraud. That is
Yeah.
deceiving your customer, and they threw a bone by saying everyone gets a little more drawdown in their account. Well, that doesn't matter when at the end of the day, for me, I like scalping, and I used to be able to trade the news, and now they said I can't trade the news and I have to hold my positions over a minute. So for me, I have to take in serious consideration. Do I call my bank and essentially say these accounts I was defrauded because I was sold a certain thing and now without any consideration? And I would argue that yes, I have an absolute case with my banks, and so I'm considering it. What I want to do, I believe that they made this rule yesterday ahead of this CPI print. Quite frankly, they wanted to get ahead of this volatile where they had accounts that were trading news, and I think what people are doing is, let's be honest, it wouldn't be a terrible business strategy to go buy 50 accounts that are pre-funded for a few $100 a piece, and you send a bunch of them long and you send a bunch of them short. And that's what I'm sure people are doing, because we're not trading on a real exchange. Where if you were trading on a real exchange and you worked with one broker and you went long and another broker and you went short, that's illegal. That is against the law. And they would have been essentially, if they found out, or, you know, they would be able to ban you from ever trading on their exchanges. So it is against the law, but at the same time, everyone's on different platforms. But I think they're getting hit in that regard. I think that these prop firms are kind of realizing it. And so, for me, I still have a strategy to take advantage of news events. But yeah, I've had times where I had 10 accounts that each made $4,500. And I think, you can change it to a more conservative approach and get to a cash out. And these companies are in a tailspin. And so, for me, we've all but removed funding ticks from our site. I'm going to give the CEO, another day or two to hopefully, reverse this decision. Essentially, it's the only logical thing he can do. And if not, they'll be on our site and they'll be a do not trade um, partner. So, we want to vet people, but we also want to share that information that, like, we do not recommend trading with them. Essentially they're on our shit list, our blacklist, and to stay away, because I don't think that's fair to traders. And I'm quite disgusted that I'm even embroiled in this experience. So, work with the reputable prop firms. And so for me with Blue Anox, again, yeah, I have to trade 10 days to get a payout, and you have to request it by Friday to get paid by Tuesday. But every Tuesday, like clockwork, my payouts hit my account, and after three payouts, you get an uncapped profit. So there's this plus and minuses to everything we're doing here. So you want to be aware of it, and check out a site like Compare Prop Funds, and
Yeah,
let us do the homework for you so you avoid these pitfalls.
absolutely. And yeah, just doing anything retroactively when you have like, you've already got agreements in place and now you're going to change them. Why? Because you see people making money. It's just crazy to me. Like you said, what you should be doing is fostering relationships with good traders and giving them a path to live, and then everyone wins. Like, why
Yeah.
wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you do that?
Yeah.
Um, it's just crazy to me. So, uh, yeah, I really appreciate you know compare prop funds and folks like that that'll kind of vet these companies for you, because as a beginning trader you just don't know. You read stuff
Right.
on Reddit, and you know one of the things about Lucid that I liked is the people using it on Reddit really liked it, and then you go to compare props, and I know if it's on there, you've gotten a payout from them successfully,
Right.
or one of the people that you work with, or there's been confirmed payouts and no shenanigans. So
Right.
that's good to know. But that $15 eval does sound juicy. And I don't know all the rules with Bluenox. Maybe it's a non-starter for me, but what's the funding fee when you pass the evals?
So for the 50K, it is $148. And one critique I would give this company is you really don't even want to touch their even bigger accounts, because I think they're disproportionate funding fees. So for me, I'd recommend customers. I believe it's like you only save like $5 or $10 with the smaller account than the 50K. So I think the 50Ks are the sweet spot with this business, and yeah, their funding fees it's like $148 for the 50K, and it goes up from there for the bigger accounts. I know that you can potentially buy evaluations alone for less than that, but I ran my own statistics, and I found that at the rate I pass evaluations, it's better for me to have a really low evaluation cost, and I'm willing to pay a little bit more for the funding fee. Um, and that's just how the math works out for me. But again, for me, they're a company I'm profitable with. They haven't, sent me any threatening emails. They haven't pulled an Apex and blocked me from my account, and basically told me to stop trading there without saying it, which is again one of those things where you won't find Apex high on our site. I've had payouts denied with Apex. They really didn't deny payouts a few years ago. Um, and I had, I think, two or three, and then they put me under review and put me, had me sending emails to a cave that no one looks at. But so yeah, I can't say enough about Lucid. Their CEO is a front facing individual. He comes off very trustworthy. The payouts have, I've heard no, I don't know what is going on with gold, but I've heard nothing bad about them. And Tradeify, they've quickly climbed the charts on our website, and is me as a trader. Again, lightning fast payouts, never question my trading. Um, and they're dropping new products at select accounts, pretty slick, where you could essentially achieve daily payouts of like $1,000 on a 50K account. That can add up across 5 accounts, 5 days a week. You're talking $25,000 a week potential payouts. So you don't need to do anything more than pick one, pick a style, make sure it's end of day, not intraday. That's the one thing that
Yes.
would probably be a deal breaker for you. The two rules that Blue Knox really has is intraday drawdown, but it does lock after you achieve your first payout. So that is some way that it turns back to an end of day in some regard, but it is still a intraday drawdown. So if you make money and don't take it, you've technically reduced your drawdown. So I know you prefer the end of day. And then the other thing is, there are firms out there right now that have no consistency requirements when funded. They have a 40% one. For me, it's not a big deal. I don't try to, you know, pull $5,000 out of an account on the first day. They don't let you anyways. So I'm not trying to hit home runs. I want, there's other traders that give it a good example. If you do base hits across 20, 30 accounts, there's your home run. And you feel a
Yep.
lot less, concerned. Because I think one concern is, if you're a home run hitter, right? If you look at a lot of people that are home run hitters, you're also a strikeout king, right? Because
Yeah.
you're taking a lot of swings at the plate, and so yes, you can hit home runs, but you're likely blowing up a lot of accounts in the process, trying to get those home runs versus just consistent base hits. Plugging away $300 to $500 in a day in an account. That way, the emotions don't get on that roller coaster of feast or famine.
Yeah, we all grew up watching those baseball players that could hit the ball really far but struck out most of the time.
Right.
Let's talk about gold real quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, as you know, like I don't buy, sell gold or hold gold. The one thing I
Mm-hmm.
did do though was open a position in Newmont Mining, and headquartered in Denver, Colorado, your stomping grounds, and man, it gives you exposure to all kinds of precious metals, and it gives you a dividend, and you get a little piece of the action. I'm not looking at the stock price right now, but I'm guessing on a day like today when gold's pumping, it's probably going up. What are your thoughts on that? Do you own physical gold? Do you own gold in like your retirement accounts? Like, what's your stand on precious metals? And I know we're not advisors. I'm just curious what you're doing.
Yeah. I've only held gold in Rolex watch. That's probably my largest piece of gold. And thankfully, I bought it before this mad explosion of gold prices. So my 18038 Rolex, 1985 presidential, well, not really presidential, but a day date, is kind of what I would continue to kind of look at as an investment right now. Um, if you look at historical levels of gold, it has these periods of long consolidation and then a move higher, long consolidation and move higher. And we're just in that move higher. And frankly, I think it is, part of the economy and what people think is going on and the devaluation of the US dollar. And at the end of the day, holding precious metals is advantageous because, unless we're getting hit with asteroids full of diamonds and gold and, all of these things that are potentially out there, you have to go and mine these products to get it. And so there is a value there. I would always say the gold and obviously the diamond market is way under accounted for. But at the same time, gold, copper, they provide a lot of additional value beyond just their jewelry aspect.
Yeah.
Um, so, for me right now, I've been more of somebody watching it. I can't deny right now there is just no selling in gold. Here we had like 3 minutes of gold selling, and it's almost been completely bought back up. Um, you know, I know traders that are utilizing options to buy and sell calls above it and just get called away when it comes that way because there is no stop in gold. I certainly would not want to be sitting here telling you to sell gold right now. That's for sure.
Yeah. So you think it's not so much that the demand for gold is drastically rising. You just think that it's a hedge against inflation, and that more or less the dollar is just being devalued.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't know if I'm smart enough to know the exact reason why gold is moving the way it has. Everyone can build a thesis, but at the end of the day, there's a ton more eyeballs on the product. And when there's a lot more people trading something, there's a lot more volatility involved, and there's the opportunity for explosive moves. But what I do know of gold specifically and silver, they go through long periods of not moving an inch, and then all of that time it's kind of catapulted higher. And So, you know, I think again we're just in that phase, and I don't think it's anything we should really worry about or do anything. But if you feel like trading it, if you're going that route, just be careful and uh, just try not to get swept in just these momentum trades.
Yeah, yeah, I'm not gonna buy or sell gold, and I'm not gonna hold physical gold. I think my inclination to buy shares, buy ownership in a gold mining company is probably, and it's the largest one in the world, and it's US based, and there's a lot of reasons why I chose it. P ratio is very reasonable compared to other gold plays. It was sitting at 15 or 14 when I bought it. I think it's at 15 now. So um, lots of reasons to like it, and they're not going to run out of gold. I don't think they're not. The mines aren't going to go dry either. So
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah. So we got a little bit of a sell off here. We were consolidating forever, and my inclination was that it was going to go higher, and now we're kind of selling off. Not too bad. It's just a little bit of a dip here that could potentially buy, but just gonna wait and see what it does. I'm again sitting about $500 away from passing an eval and being funded with Lucid, and that's a huge goal of mine. So I'm not going to do anything too drastic.
Yeah, and that's great, right? If we were talking earlier in the week, your goal was just to not blow the account up and be a good trader. And, I know as you get closer to the finish line, you kind of want to push it and hit the gas pedal and get across the finish line, but that's kind of the wrong strategy. I've shared with you, I've been $15 from a payout, I believe it was, or a payout or passing an evaluation. And it's like, oh, I'll just make this right now. And I just got long, and it was at the literally the worst time where I start adding and just trying to lower my basis so I can just get it to notch up and make $15, and I blew the account. And so, being close to the finish line, the best thing you can do is actually slow the car down and make sure you get across the finish line. And if your goal this week was not to blow the account up, you're on that track. So, don't change anything and don't force trade just because you think the market's still moving in a certain direction or an opportunity arises. Book the winner and come back another day.
Yeah, I just entered along here because that minor sell off just got bought up, and so I did just take a trade, which I wasn't planning on, but I've already moved my stop up to break even, and it's working upwards. So I might move my stop up even higher and just guarantee to lock in some profits. And if it hits my take profit, I'll be very close to passing. So it's
Awesome.
$100 trade right now. I'm letting it work. Yeah, that sell off didn't last very long at all,
Right.
and it just hit my stop. I decided to take that $100 profit.
Nice. And this is in your account, so now you're even closer to your goal.
Yeah. I'm at 52,540.
Wow.
So now I'm 460 away from passing. So, I just a lot of what I do as a beginning trader, I don't know what I'm doing, but I look at the wicks, and you can see that it was just a very minor pullback, and that last wick got bought up. That 6860 level, it touched it, got bought up, touched it again, got bought up, and then I
Mhm.
decided to get long. It's still going up. I should have kept letting it work, but at this point, I want to lock in a profitable day, and I don't want to let any of this slip. So, I'm up 834 right now on the day, which I just did another 100 on that trade, so I'm pretty happy with that.
Absolutely. And, this is kind of one of those more simple trade setups that I think you were kind of making here, is where you're just um, kind of seeing a range be formed, and you're buying on the low end of the range and trying to sell towards the middle or the top of that other side of the range, right?
Yeah, and I look at the wicks, I look at the price action, what's been happening. I take all that information in, and then I make a decision like that. And what I just did was considered scalping. The trade worked for like 20, 30 seconds, which, as we talked about, you can't do anymore with funding ticks. So I would have just been sitting here white knuckling, waiting till this goes a minute. And if it went
Mhm.
up and then it came back down to that level again, it seems like funding ticks put in these rules for a couple of reasons. It seems they want to put traders on tilt. That rule seems kind of like that. And also, as we've talked about before on FOMC and some of these other news events, a lot of these don't trade the news rules are for 5 minutes, but even after that, even after that 5 minutes surrounding the news, you still have these big moves and this huge volatility. And by
Right.
doing that, they're essentially saying, like, you can't trade anytime during FOMC day unless you're
Right.
willing to like ride these huge roller coasters for at least a minute. So I don't understand that. It seems like what they should be doing is having a path to live and encouraging their traders to make a lot of money and not just trying to trip them up.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more. We hate to see it in the industry. Um, Obviously, businesses are allowed to run their business the way they want to. I see no update from Funding Ticks, and if I jump in their Discord lounge, I'm sure everyone's still losing their minds. For me, because one of my rules that I look for with a trading firm is, can I trade the news? I find Take Profit Traders a great company. I have a stickler at their 80/20 payout. But, this company said if you buy an instant funded account, you can trade the news. And the other thing I didn't tell you is they went from a 90/10 split to an 80/20. So clearly there's, a monetary issue in their finances where they know they have a lot of money coming out and they're trying to trim the payouts. And so, you know, I'm
Yeah. And
almost
also,
convinced. Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say, also a huge red flag if you're sitting with, a bunch of money in profit with them, like, are they going to pay you out? And, if they're struggling, or are they just going to, I know you mentioned it, one of the conversations we had recently of other firms just kind of uh, Irish goodbyeing all their traders and whether you
Yeah.
had money or not, and just see you later.
Yeah, it does happen, and you've got to kind of strategically invest in that way. Is don't put all your eggs in one basket, um, and see what you can do. So, for me, I'm looking at the charts, and this selling looks a little manufactured. I don't see any selling really in the marketplace. It's a little toppy, um, but still no selling. So
Yeah, and we've been consolidating in this range for a while. I bought the only minor dip, but you know, I I don't know what's going on. Friday's anyone's guess, so I might just call it a day and come back Monday with a goal to pass. Only $460 away. Man, that
awesome.
would be great. Not going to get too excited till it happens, and then even after that, not going to get too excited until you get to a payout, and then you don't get too excited till that money actually hits your account.
Yeah, and I can contest to that. My first payouts, I believe, were with Apex, and it was like for them they had a lot of the, like Tradeify and Lucid. Like you submit the payout, and you're getting like the money sent to your account that same day. Where Apex would have like you had to submit by I believe Wednesday, and then there's usually like a day or two, and it's like I woke up early every morning, check my phone, like one, am I getting approved? And then once the approval came by, it was like, then I'm checking my bank account every day. Did the wire hit? And, there is obviously no greater feeling than buying an eval for 10, 50, $100 and getting a, multiple $1,000 payout. But, there is the truth that unfortunately in this market, as we continue to pop here, as I kind of anticipated, um, you know, there is the issue of getting this money. So, they had some payers payouts, of $1 million. I'd obviously be very concerned. So, work with a few, once you get to your first payout, take that money and reinvest it with another firm. Come to our website and check out who's at the top of our list. And, start to diversify. And I wouldn't recommend necessarily copy trading right away, but start to work on growing. I think that's the really lucrative thing with traders is once you find success, it's very easy to scale, right? Um, if you own a restaurant, to scale, you got to open up a whole nother restaurant, find new employees. It's a whole process. But in this game, to scale, you're trading one or two, maybe three minis with one account. You can quickly add other accounts and scale very quickly. So definitely an advantage for traders that we want to kind of make sure they're all aware of and take advantage of. And yeah, it's great to hear you're not pushing it. I know you don't usually trade on Fridays, um, and that's something you've learned through experience. And I think what better feeling than finishing your day Thursday strong and having all weekend to really build that confidence and come in Monday morning ready to hit base hits and feel good about your trading over the weekend.
Yeah, and I'll pull the charts up tomorrow, and if the market's screaming in one direction or if there's like a perfect setup, I will, I'll take a trade with a tight stop. But kind of growing and being able to growing as a trader, like I'm not just saying no to Fridays anymore, but I do need a premium setup. Mondays are difficult too.
Right.
So, but I got about another couple of minutes with you, and I gotta start
Sure.
doing other stuff on my day. But yeah, it's a good day today. We're still in we're trading in a zone here. There's still some consolidation, but good day. For the most part, enjoying a move to the upside.
Yeah, great to hear. I agree. I don't really have anything specific that I need to speak on. I know we're, um, been here and kind of talked through the CPI. Uh, just to kind of touch on it, I was biased coming in, and I'm kind of biased heading out of this little trading session with you. I could change that obviously after this is over, but we've got some news coming on, but more importantly, I think traders should be aware of as we head into next week that we've kind of gone through the meat of the month. Things will generally get a little bit slower. We have GDP next week that might do something. FOMC minutes has been a bit of a bust at the end of the month, and you got some unemployment claims. I'm sure there'll be some opportunities with our president saying something, but just be prepared that, don't judge your trading on the next 2 weeks of the month. Make sure you understand that, it is generally a bullish period, but it's also a slow period. So if you find yourself doing good, don't be afraid to take these days off and stay away from the markets looking to come back fresh next year and be ready with a new opportunity potentially after comparing all the great offers on comparePropFunds.com. So with that, I think I can sign off, remind you guys to keep it classy and let your trades do the talking.